Hello everyone, today we'll be doing part 3 of this chapter number 9, Force and Laws of Motion. Before getting into today's session, let me do a quick revision of what we had done in the previous class. We had learned Newton's first law of motion, which states that every inanimate object continues its state of rest or of uniform motion unless and until you apply an external force on it. That means what? An object at rest or an object in motion will continue that as long as you apply force on them. Once you apply a force, you can bring in a change in their position. It is also known as law of inertia. Inertia is nothing but the tendency to resist change. While discussing about inertia, I had given you examples like the blades of the fan does not coming to a standstill position even after the power supply is cut off, and then the passengers getting backward jerk, forward jerk. These are all given as examples for inertia. Then we had done about momentum. Momentum is the quantity of motion contained in an object, or momentum is the product of mass and velocity. P is the letter which we use to denote momentum. P is equal to mv is what is called as your momentum. SI unit of momentum is kilogram meter per second. And then we had started with Newton's second law of motion. I gave you that example that if a moving car stops suddenly because its battery was dead, so what you call the passengers, or you call the people, those who are standing around, to push it. So when you find them applying a sudden push, the car is not going to start. Then you tell them to apply a force on the car for a longer period of time, and then you will find a change in the momentum. So it states that rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the applied force. So I said that we will be doing mathematical derivation for the second law of motion. So that is what we'll be doing in today's session, mathematical formulation of second law of motion, and then we'll be doing third law of motion. Okay, see, when a same amount of force is applied on two different objects having different velocities. See, for example, I've given an object with mass 400 kg and an object with 40 kg mass. When both the objects are given the same amount of force, what will happen? The object will begin to move, but the lighter object will move faster, will acquire a greater velocity, but both will gain same amount of momentum. The link between this force and momentum is what is explained in your Newton's second law of motion, which we saw in the previous class, that Newton's second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force. Now we are going to start with the mathematical derivation for Newton's second law of motion. Please pay attention carefully. See, consider an object which is at rest and it is having a mass m. So when the object is at rest, it has zero velocity. So velocity here is represented by the letter u. So u is equal to 0. Therefore, the momentum of the object which is at rest will be mu, because momentum is the product of mass and velocity. Therefore, initial momentum of the object is equal to mu. After applying the force for a time period called t, the velocity changes to v, because the ball begins to move. So it acquires some velocity. It gains momentum. So now the final momentum of this object is going to be mv, because the velocity has changed to v. mv we are using because momentum is a product of mass and velocity. So the initial momentum represents the momentum possessed by the object which is at rest, and final momentum mv represents the momentum possessed by the object after application of force. A change in velocity is brought. Therefore, the final momentum is going to be mv. So, change in momentum is represented by mv minus mu, because initially the object was at rest. After the application of force, the velocity, it has gained some velocity, it has acquired momentum. So, its momentum changes to mv. Therefore, change in momentum will be mv minus mu. Whenever you say rate of change of momentum, it is related to the time period for which the force is applied. Therefore, rate of change of momentum will be mv minus mu upon t. So whenever you use the word rate in physics, it corresponds to time. So according to your Newton's second law of motion, F is proportional to rate of change of momentum. That is, force is proportional to rate of change of momentum. So I have given the representation as F is proportional to mv minus mu upon t. So whenever you have to remove the proportionality symbol, what is to be done? You have to introduce a constant. So here we are introducing a constant k after removing the proportionality symbol. So the equation now becomes F is equal to km into v minus u by t. M is also taken outside because m is common for both mv and mu. Now this v minus u by t represents your acceleration. You have learnt in your previous chapter. Acceleration is rate of change of velocity. So v minus u by t is your acceleration. So F is equal to kma now. Now value of k in SI unit is always 1. It is considered as 1 in SI unit. Therefore, when we supply the value of 1 to k, the equation now becomes F is equal to ma. This is your Newton's second law of motion, mathematical derivation. Now, one more method is also there to make you understand this mathematical derivation of Newton's second law. Any one method you can use, but the previous method is given in your textbook. See here. See, the applied unbalanced force creates a acceleration, and this acceleration depends on two factors. Which are those factors? This acceleration depends on net force and the mass of the object. Look at the figure given here carefully. See here. When you apply some amount of force on a brick and you push it, it accelerates, right? When double the force is applied, what will happen? More acceleration will be produced. Remember here, I said applied unbalanced force on an object creates an acceleration, and this acceleration depends on two factors. Those two factors are net force and mass. What is the relationship? We'll see later. So this net force, when it is applied on an object, it begins to accelerate. Suppose, for example, a force of 2 Newton, right? When you increase the force to 4 Newton, what will happen? The acceleration produced will be more. You're doubling. Obviously, the acceleration is going to increase. Now, with reference to mass, same bricks you consider. See, the force of hand on the brick accelerates the brick. Suppose, if you're using 2 bricks and applying the same amount of force, what will happen? The acceleration will be reduced to half. When the mass increases, when you apply the same amount of force, obviously the acceleration will not be that much. With the force that you had applied on 1 brick, when you apply the same amount of force on 2 bricks, the acceleration produced will be less because the mass is increased. Now, when you increase the number of bricks, the mass will also increase. Now, when you apply the same amount of force that you had applied on 1 brick to 3 bricks, what will happen? The acceleration will reduce further. Look at the figures carefully. The distance the object has moved, the acceleration shown by the object, by the first picture, it shows the acceleration shown by 1 brick. And then the second figure shows the acceleration shown when you are increasing the mass, the 2 bricks, it has reduced. Now, when you increase the mass by increasing number of bricks to 3, the acceleration reduces further and the distance is also getting reduced. So when you apply same amount of force by increasing the mass, the acceleration reduces. So from this, you can come to a conclusion that acceleration is directly proportional to force according to your first figure, net force. Under that you see, when you apply a force of 10 Newton on 1 brick, the brick is going to begin its acceleration. Now you apply a force of 20 Newtons, what will happen? The brick will show more acceleration. So when you increase the force, the acceleration will also increase. So force applied increases, acceleration will also increase. This means acceleration is directly proportional to the force applied. In the second figure under mass, I have said that when you apply same amount of force, that is a force of 10 Newton is applied on 1 brick having a mass of about 200 grams. what will happen? It will begin its acceleration. Now when you apply the same amount of force, that is 10 newtons on 2 bricks, that is the mass is increased to 400 grams. Now when you apply the force of 10 newton on these 2 bricks having a mass of about 400 grams, obviously less acceleration will be produced because in mass is increasing and the amount of force applied remains the same. Now when you increase the mass to 600 grams by adding one more brick and you apply the amount of force, that is 10 newton, obviously the acceleration will reduce further. So acceleration is directly proportional to force and inversely proportional to mass. So we use A is proportional to F upon M. Obviously A is equal to kma. When you remove this constant by supplying the value of 1 to that, it becomes A is equal to F upon M. Now we want Newton's second law of motion, that is F is equal to ma. This is one more method of deriving Newton's second law of motion. Hope you all understood this thoroughly. So starting with Newton's third law of motion, I want you all to observe the given figures here. The first figure shows a man getting down of a moving boat. He is moving in the forward direction and the boat moves in the backward direction. Now this second figure, which shows a boy playing with a rubber ball, this you must have experienced in your day-to-day life also. When you throw a rubber ball on the ground, the ball will bounce back. This is all working on the principle of Newton's third law of motion. See in the first figure I have shown you two spring balances. The hook of one spring balance is hung to the hook of other spring balance. Now you apply a force on the spring balance A, which is on your right side, and try to pull it. When you look at the pointer which shows the reading on both the spring balances will show you the same reading. Why? Because the force that you have applied on the spring balance A by pulling it acts on spring balance B, and the spring balance B will also apply a force on spring balance A in the opposite direction. So this is your Newton's third law of motion, which states that every action has equal and opposite reaction. Now coming to the previous example, when the person jumps out of a moving boat, he will move in the forward direction by applying a force on the boat. You must have seen a person when he is jumping out of a boat, he will apply a force on the boat to climb out. That force will make the boat to move in the backward direction. This is the reaction force. Action and reaction are happening in the opposite direction. Person jumping out is the action and the boat moving backward is your reaction force, right? Now same thing happens when you throw a rubber ball on the ground. It's your action force. The ground also exerts an equal force in the opposite direction, because of which the ball is bouncing back to you. Now the recoiling of gun, why does it happen when you fire a bullet out of it, is the best example to prove your Newton's third law of motion. And how Newton's second law also plays its role in this, we'll see now. So when you fire a bullet out from the gun, the bullet is moving forward. Okay, this is the action force. Now this bullet, which is moving at a fast rate, will exert a force in the opposite direction on the gun also, because of which the gun is recoiling back. When you fire the bullet out of the gun, the bullet is moving forward. It's because of the action force, and this bullet will also exert a force on the gun, because of which the gun is recoiling back. This is the reaction force. So action and reaction force acts in two different direction. Action, it's moving forward, reaction is moving in the backward direction, and it acts on two different objects. Now in this example, your Newton's second law also plays its role. The fast moving bullet, have you seen when the bullet is fired out of the gun, the bullet will move with a greater speed, but the gun will recoil at a very slow rate. When the acceleration of the bullet is compared, the acceleration shown by the gun when it is recoiling back is very less. Why? Here Newton's second law is applied. Mass and acceleration are inversely proportional to each other. Greater the mass, acceleration will be less. Lesser the mass, acceleration will be more. Bullet is lighter in mass when compared to the gun. So bullet is moving with a greater velocity. When the gun recoils back, it will move very slowly. So Newton's third law of motion states that action and reaction force always acts in the opposite direction. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. Okay. Now, even though the action and reaction force are always equal in magnitude, these forces may not produce acceleration of equal magnitude. Best example is of your bullet and the gun. The velocity that's shown by the fast moving bullet is greater when compared to the velocity shown by the gun when it recoils back. This is because each force, this action force and reaction force, acts on different object that have different mass. Then this launching of rockets is also based on your third law of motion. You must have seen that emission that is coming out is your action force that's coming down, and your rocket is pushed upwards, the fuel, right? So this is also an example of your Newton's third law of motion. Clear to you? So let's summarize what we had learnt till now. We had learned 3 laws of motion, and your third law states that every action has equal and opposite reaction. First 2 laws, while beginning the session itself, I have done a revision of those 2 laws. So in third law we had learned that every action has equal and opposite reaction. Action and reaction force acts on 2 different bodies, and the acceleration or the magnitude of force acting on the objects will differ because the objects may be of different mass. Hope the concept is very clear. Meet you soon in the next session. I have attached a worksheet for this also. Please do that. Okay.